Imagine finding a single old penny in your drawer and realizing it could change your life forever. Not a crisp $100 bill, not a shiny gold coin, just a simple copper penny from 1937 with no mint mark, sitting quietly in your hand. What if I told you that this unassuming little coin could be worth close to $1 million today? It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? After all, how could something most people overlook every day hold the power to buy a home, pay off debts, or even fund your dream retirement? But here's the thing. Hidden among the billions of pennies minted in America's history are a few rare gems that collectors would pay fortunes to own. And the 1937 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat penny is one of those mysterious treasures. Before you toss your change jar aside, take a moment, because by the end of this video, you'll not only understand why this penny is so valuable, but you'll also know exactly how to tell if you might be sitting on one and how to sell it for what it's truly worth. So let's dive into the story of how a single cent became a six-figure prize. Back in 1937, the United States was recovering from the Great Depression. Jobs were scarce, bread lines stretched around corners, and every penny truly mattered. The U.S. Mint was busy striking millions of Lincoln wheat cents, small symbols of hope for a country trying to rebuild. Most of these coins were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia ones carried no mint mark at all. Just the simple year, 1937, and the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front. At first glance, there was nothing special about these coins. Millions rolled off the presses, filling cash registers and pockets nationwide. Yet among them, some were struck under conditions that made them extraordinary. Near-perfect strikes, flawless dies, and an unusual level of preservation. A few of those coins, stored carefully over the decades, have survived in near-mint condition, and it's those rare survivors that now command prices beyond imagination. But here's where things get even more fascinating. Not all 1937 no-mint mark pennies are created equal. Most are worth just a few cents, but a tiny handful, graded in pristine condition, have sold for staggering amounts. One such coin, a 1937 Philadelphia wheat penny graded MS-68 red, is currently valued near $999,000. That's right, almost $1 million for 1 cent. Now pause for a second. Think about how many times you've ignored a penny on the ground. You might have even said that famous phrase, "It's just a penny." But maybe, just maybe, that penny could have been your ticket to financial freedom. So what makes these coins so valuable? It's a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and collector demand. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 representing a perfect specimen. The vast majority of 1937 pennies grade between 10 and 40. But once you hit that 65 or higher range, particularly the red designation, which means the copper still shines with its original fiery color, collectors go wild. And there's another layer to this. Because not only are these coins rare, they're also deeply symbolic. The Lincoln wheat penny represents endurance, a coin born during hard times, carrying the face of a leader who guided America through struggle and division. Owning one isn't just about the metal, it's about holding a piece of history that survived war, depression, and decades of change. Now let's break down what this means for you. You might be thinking, okay, but I don't have an MS-68 coin sitting around. Maybe you do. Maybe it's in that jar of coins you inherited from your grandparents, or tucked in an old dresser drawer, forgotten for 50 years. The truth is, these rare pennies don't announce themselves. They're waiting to be rediscovered by someone who knows what to look for. So here's what you should check. First, the year, 1937. Second, make sure there's no small D or S under the date. That means it was minted in Philadelphia. Third, look at its condition. Does it still have a glossy, reddish surface? Are Lincoln's details sharp and crisp? Every line of his coat, every curl of his hair? If so, you may have something special. Of course, don't grab a magnifying glass and start dreaming just yet. Because here comes the hard truth. Condition is everything. A 1937 penny that's scratched, discolored, or worn from years of circulation might only be worth a few cents. But the few that escaped handling, that were stored in a coin folder or hidden away in a bank envelope, can be worth thousands, and the rarest, nearly $1 million. Imagine this. A man in Ohio once sold his 1937 wheat penny for enough to buy a brand new luxury car. Another collector, after grading his coin, realized it was one of the best preserved specimens in existence and sold it for over $900,000. What started as a childhood curiosity became a life-changing discovery. And this brings us to an important question. Why do people pay so much for a penny? It's not just about the metal, it's about rarity, perfection, and the emotional pull of owning something almost no one else has. Coin collectors, known as numismatists, value history and scarcity the way art collectors value a Picasso. When a coin like the 1937 no-mint-mark wheat penny appears on the market, bidding wars erupt. Wealthy investors and museums compete to own these tiny symbols of America's story. Now, here's where things get interesting, and where your opportunity lies. The coin market is hotter than ever. Inflation, economic uncertainty, and the rise of collectible investments have made rare coins a powerful asset. People are paying record prices for coins that were once ignored. The 1937 no-mint-mark penny is part of this wave, a symbol of how small things can turn into massive wealth when the timing is right. So what should you do if you think you have one? First, don't clean it. I repeat, do not polish or scrub your coin. Cleaning can destroy its value faster than anything else. Instead, handle it gently by the edges and place it in a soft holder. Then, get it professionally graded by a reputable company like PCGS or NGC. They'll evaluate its authenticity and condition, and if your penny is truly high grade, that's when the real excitement begins. You could list it for sale in an auction or private marketplace and let collectors compete for it. And yes, there are buyers waiting right now. Coins like this don't just sell, they ignite bidding frenzies. But here's the emotional core of all this. It's not only about the money, though that's undeniably thrilling. It's about realizing that value can hide in plain sight, that something so ordinary can hold extraordinary potential. It's about shifting how you see the world, from dismissing the small things to recognizing the opportunities all around you. Maybe that's why stories like these inspire people, because they remind us that wealth doesn't always come from big risks or fancy investments. Sometimes it comes from paying attention, from noticing what others overlook. So let's play with a bit of humor here. How many of you just thought about raiding your piggy bank, or maybe checking under the couch cushions? You're not alone. People have literally found rare coins in parking lots and gas stations. You might laugh, but stranger things have happened. Still, the truth remains. The window for discovering these high-grade coins is closing fast. Each year, more are locked away in collections, and fewer remain in circulation. The longer you wait, the slimmer your chances become. And that's where the urgency comes in. Don't wait until these coins are completely out of reach. Take action now. Think of it this way. What if you're one coin away from transforming your financial future? What if your old change jar holds the key to a new chapter in your life? Throughout history, people have dismissed pennies as worthless. Yet today, the right penny can buy a home, a car, or even a life of freedom. And all it takes is curiosity, the willingness to look closer, to believe that small things can lead to something greater. Let's not forget the legacy behind this coin. Abraham Lincoln's face wasn't chosen by accident. He represents perseverance, integrity, and the belief that anyone, no matter how humble their beginnings, can achieve greatness. The same spirit lives on in every rare 1937 wheat penny still in existence. So here's your takeaway. Start searching. Check your jars, your drawers, your coin albums. Look closely at every penny dated 1937, because the next great coin discovery could be yours. And when you do find one, when you hold that glimmer, of history in your palm, remember this: you're not just holding metal. You're holding a story of endurance, value, and unexpected wealth. A reminder that fortune favors the observant, the patient, and the bold. Because wealth isn't only built, sometimes it's found. So as you look at that old penny, ask yourself one simple question. What if this is the one, and that's the beauty of it? You'll never know until you look. So go ahead. The next time you spot a dusty old coin in a forgotten corner of your home, don't walk past it. Pick it up. Examine it. You might just be holding a piece of history worth $999,000 or more. The world is full of hidden treasures. Some are gold, some are art, and some are just pennies. But every fortune starts with curiosity, and yours might just begin with the smallest coin of all. So, are you ready to find your $1,000,000 penny? This isn't just a story about copper and cents. It's about hidden fortune, untold stories, and the rare chance to transform something ordinary into something life-changing. Because right now, this penny, yes, a single penny, is commanding jaw-dropping prices on the collector's market. One recently valued at an astounding $992,000. Let that sink in. A coin worth less than a pack of gum in 1942 could be your ticket to financial freedom today. So, before you toss your spare change into a Coinstar machine, you might want to take a closer look. Because what we're about to uncover could rewrite your financial future and the story of your family's legacy. But to understand how a 1-cent coin can rise to nearly $1,000,000, we need to go back to the beginning. Picture America in 1942. The world is at war. Factories are roaring, soldiers are marching, and every resource, from metal to manpower, is dedicated to victory. Copper, a critical material for ammunition, was in short supply. The U.S. Mint faced a dilemma: continue using copper for pennies or redirect it to the war effort. So in this period of scarcity and sacrifice, the Mint experimented with different metals. Some 1942 cents were struck with varying compositions as the Mint prepared for the famous 1943 steel penny. Amid this chaos of production, anomalies occurred: tiny variations, minting errors, and rare strikes that would become legends in the coin world decades later. And among them, the 1942 no-mint mark Lincoln wheat cent quietly emerged as one of the rarest and most coveted coins of the 20th century. Now, let's address the question everyone's thinking. What makes this penny so special? At first glance, it looks like any ordinary wheat penny. Lincoln's familiar profile on the front, 2 wheat ears on the back, and the words E pluribus unum. But the secret lies in its minting origin. The no-mint mark signifies that this coin was struck in Philadelphia, where mint marks were intentionally omitted. Most of these pennies were perfectly ordinary. But a few, just a few, were struck using unique planchets, transitional errors, or early die states that gave them distinct characteristics. These tiny differences are invisible to most people, but are pure gold to serious collectors. And here's the kicker: these coins were never meant to survive. Millions were melted, lost, or worn out in circulation. So, finding one today in pristine, uncirculated condition is like discovering buried treasure in your backyard. But how does a penny leap from face value to nearly $1,000,000? It all comes down to rarity, condition, and demand. Collectors live by one golden rule: scarcity drives value. The 1942 no-mint mark wheat penny has it all: historical significance, an emotional connection to wartime America, and a scarcity that sends chills down any collector's spine. Here's where things get exciting, and maybe even a little terrifying. Because while you might have a coin jar filled with pennies you barely notice, one of them could quietly be worth hundreds of thousands, even millions. People have found life-changing coins in the most unexpected places: flea markets, old boxes, inherited collections, and even parking lot change. So, ask yourself, when was the last time you really looked at your change? Could you be holding a piece of history? Now let's talk about what determines the true value of a 1942 no-mint mark wheat penny. 3 key factors decide its worth: condition, rarity, and error type. First, condition. Collectors use a grading scale from poor, P1, to mint state, MS70. The higher the grade, the higher the value. An average circulated 1942. No mint mark penny might be worth only a few cents. But a gem-quality, mint-state example, one that looks as if it was struck yesterday, can reach staggering heights. Next, rarity. Not every 1942 penny without a mint mark is valuable. But certain varieties, such as those with double dies, repunched dates, or unique strike errors, command premium prices. One particularly rare specimen with exceptional luster and preservation recently sold for over $992,000 in a private auction. And finally, demand. The Lincoln Wheat Cent is the longest-running and most collected coin series in American history. Millions of collectors chase these coins, from casual hobbyists to serious investors. That demand ensures that rare specimens never stay on the market long. But here's where it gets truly thrilling. Experts believe there are still undiscovered 1942 no-mint mark rarities sitting in private collections and coin jars across America. Could yours be one of them? Imagine finding that one penny that changes everything. The adrenaline, the disbelief, the moment you realize that tiny coin could pay off your mortgage or fund your retirement, it's almost cinematic. And let's not forget, time is your biggest ally or your greatest enemy. As the years pass, fewer of these coins remain in collectible condition. Damage, oxidation, or improper storage can destroy thousands of dollars in value overnight. That's why serious collectors invest in proper coin holders, grading services, and authentication. If you suspect you have a rare 1942 no mint mark penny, your next step is to get it professionally graded by services like PCGS or NGC. That certification can be the difference between a casual coin and a verified treasure. You might be wondering, how can I tell if mine is valuable? Here's what you should look for. Check the year, 1942. Make sure there's no mint mark below the date. Then examine the coin under good lighting. Does the surface show strong definition and minimal wear? Is Lincoln's hair sharply struck, the lettering crisp, the wheat stalks detailed? If so, you might be holding something truly special. And here's a humorous thought. Most of us spend hours scrolling through online deals. But the best deal you'll ever find could be sitting in your kitchen drawer for free. Now, let's pull back the curtain for a moment and think about what this coin represents beyond money. The 1942 wheat cent isn't just valuable because it's rare. It's valuable because it tells a story of resilience and transformation. Minted during one of the darkest times in global history, it reminds us that even in the face of uncertainty, something enduring and beautiful can be created. It's a symbol of how small things, like a humble penny, can hold immense worth when the world changes around them. And that symbolism resonates deeply with anyone searching for opportunity in overlooked places. Because let's be honest, many of us have old coins lying around, never realizing that hidden among them could be a key to a more abundant life. Collectors and investors who understand this secret have already positioned themselves ahead of the curve. The market for rare U.S. coins has exploded in recent years, with record-breaking auctions and private sales pushing values higher than ever. Coins that sold for a few $1,000s 20 years ago are now worth hundreds of thousands. And experts predict that trend will only accelerate as more people seek tangible historical assets. The window of opportunity is closing fast. As supply diminishes and demand surges, the time to act is now. That's not fear, it's reality. Imagine looking back 5 years from now, wishing you had checked your collection when you had the chance. Don't let that regret become your story. Every collector starts somewhere. For some, it begins with a single penny that sparks curiosity. For others, it starts with a story like this, one that opens their eyes to the wealth hidden in plain sight. And once you take that first step, you begin to see coins not as change, but as channels of history and legacy. So what's your next move? Check your jars, your drawers, your wallets. Examine every wheat penny you come across. Because the 1942 no mint mark wheat cent could be the treasure you never knew you had. And if you do find one, don't rush to sell it. Knowledge is your greatest weapon. Research, authenticate, and understand its full potential before making a decision. There are countless stories of people selling rare coins for a fraction of their worth because they didn't know what they had. Don't let that be you. As we close, let's reflect on something powerful. A single penny, minted during wartime scarcity, has outlasted decades, wars, and generations. It survived the Great Depression, the Cold War, and the digital age, and now it holds the power to change someone's life forever. That's not just history. It's destiny in your hands, and maybe, just maybe, it's waiting for you to discover it. So tonight, before you go to bed, take a moment to look through your change. That ordinary copper coin you've ignored for years could be worth more than gold. The 1942 no-mint mark wheat penny reminds us that sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest value, and that fortune often hides in the most unexpected places. Because while most people see a penny, the wise see possibility. And those who act on that possibility, well, they're the ones who turn pocket change into prosperity. Stay curious, stay hopeful, and remember, your next million might just be hiding in the palm of your hand. Let's be honest, most of us don't think twice about a penny. It's the coin we drop in tip jars, lose between car seats, or sweep off the counter without a second thought. But what if one of those little coins could buy you a luxury car? Or even a house? The truth is, there's a hidden world beneath the surface of those copper-colored discs, a world filled with mystery, history, and unimaginable value. To understand why the 1962 D penny has captured so much attention, we have to go back in time. Picture it. America, 1962. John F. Kennedy was in the White House. The Cuban Missile Crisis loomed on the horizon, and the country was caught between fear and hope. The U.S. Mint in Denver was busy producing millions of Lincoln cents, each stamped with that tiny D mint mark beneath the date. They were ordinary coins meant for ordinary transactions. But among the flood of copper came a few that were not so ordinary. Coins with rare errors, unusual compositions, and distinctive features that would one day make them worth a fortune. It's fascinating, isn't it, how something so small can hold so much history? The 1962 D penny belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, designed by Victor David Brenner, featuring the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln. But here's where it gets intriguing. Some of these coins were struck with microscopic differences, minting errors, double dies, and metal composition variations that slipped past inspection. These imperfections, invisible to most, became the golden ticket for collectors. Think about that for a moment. A mistake, a flaw, is what makes these coins worth a fortune. There's a poetic irony in that, isn't there? Just like in life, sometimes it's our imperfections that make us priceless. But before we get carried away, let's talk numbers. The 1962 D penny in average circulated condition is worth about 1 cent. Nothing special. But a rare 1962 D penny with pristine condition, flawless strike, or unique error can fetch astonishing prices. In fact, one recently sold for nearly $984,000. That's not a typo. $984,000. For a single penny. Now you might be asking, how is that possible? Why would anyone pay nearly $1 million for a coin most of us overlook? The answer lies in rarity and condition. Coins that survive decades without scratches, corrosion, or wear are incredibly rare. Add in a mint error, like a double die obverse or off-center strike, and you've got a collector's dream. But here's where it gets really exciting. You could have one of these coins sitting in your home right now. Maybe it's in an old jar of change, a drawer, or a collection passed down from your grandparents. Every year, people just like you discover coins worth thousands, sometimes millions, without even realizing it. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at your pennies? Not just glanced, but truly examined them? If you knew one could change your financial future, wouldn't you take a closer look? That's the thrill and the fear, because the chance could be slipping through your fingers every day. The market for rare coins has exploded in recent years. Collectors are paying top dollar for coins with unique attributes. And with online auctions, grading services, and coin shows, it's never been easier or more competitive to sell valuable coins. But this also means time is ticking. Every day, more of these rare pennies are being found, sold, or locked away in private collections, never to resurface. The window to cash in is shrinking fast. The 1962 D penny's appeal also lies in its story. The early 1960s marked a period of transition for U.S. coinage. Inflation was rising, copper prices were climbing, and the government began considering cheaper materials. This historical backdrop adds depth to every 1962 penny. It's not just a coin, but a symbol of a changing America. Here's something else that might surprise you. Some 1962 D pennies were struck on leftover planchets from previous years or even foreign coin stock. That means a few of these coins might have slightly different metal compositions, another factor that can skyrocket their value. One expert even described finding a 1962 D struck on a brass alloy intended for another country's coins. Imagine that. Your ordinary penny might literally be made of the wrong metal. Now let's interrupt this serious talk for a second. Be honest. How many of you are already thinking about grabbing a magnifying glass after this video? Don't worry, you're not alone. Thousands of people have started digging through their coins the moment they hear stories like this. And who knows? Maybe the next viral news headline about $1 million penny will have your name in it. But let's go a little deeper. Finding a valuable coin isn't just about luck. It's about knowledge. Knowing what to look for can make all the difference. So what should you check? Start with the basics. Date, mint mark, and condition. Then look for signs of doubling, especially on Lincoln's profile or the lettering. Pay attention to any misaligned edges or unusual coloration. These could all be indicators of minting errors that make your coin rare. It's also crucial to understand the grading process. Coin grading is a standardized system that evaluates a coin's condition on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS-67 or higher, meaning it's in near-perfect condition, can command astronomical prices. That's why professional grading from services like PCGS or NGC can be the difference between a few dollars and a life-changing windfall. Here's where it gets emotional. Imagine you've been holding onto a jar of coins from your parents or grandparents, coins that sat quietly through decades of your family's history. Inside, there's a 1962 D penny. You send it off to be graded, and a few weeks later, the results come back. Mint state 67, full red luster, and an ultra-rare error. The appraiser tells you it's worth $984,000. In that moment, all those years of neglect turn into gratitude. That little penny becomes a legacy, a bridge between generations, and yet most people will never look. They'll let fear, doubt, or disbelief hold them back. Maybe they think it's a scam or they assume their coins are worthless. But here's the truth. Fortune favors the curious. Those who dare to check, to learn, to explore, are the ones who uncover treasures hidden in plain sight. Speaking of curiosity, did you know that the Lincoln penny is the longest-running design in U.S. coinage history? Since 1909, it's been in circulation for over a century. That means every penny in your pocket connects you to more than 100 years of American history. Think of all the hands these coins have passed through. The workers, the dreamers, the soldiers, the builders. And among them, a few carry a secret worth nearly $1 million. Here's a question that might haunt you tonight. What if one of those pennies is yours? The market value of rare coins like the 1962 D penny continues to climb. With inflation, collector demand, and the finite number of surviving specimens, experts predict values could break the $1 million mark soon. Those who act now, who authenticate, grade, and sell, could be sitting on a fortune. Those who wait might watch the opportunity slip away. It's a fascinating mix of emotion and economics. Coins like this ignite excitement but also fear, the fear of missing out. And that fear can be powerful, because the people who take action, who start looking through their collections tonight, could find the kind of wealth most only dream about. Still skeptical? Consider this. The record sale for a Lincoln cent was over $2 million for a 1943 copper penny. If a wartime error coin can reach that level, there's no reason the 1962 D penny can't follow the same path. Especially with high-grade specimens already approaching the $1 million threshold, the trajectory is clear. So what should you do next? Start by checking your coins. Examine every 1962 D penny you find. Learn how to identify key errors and variations. If you think you found something special, don't clean it. Leave it as is and have it professionally appraised. Even if it's not worth hundreds of thousands, it might still bring in hundreds or thousands of dollars. Here's another little pattern interrupt for you. If you suddenly disappear into your attic tonight with a flashlight and a magnifier, don't worry, your secret is safe with me. But when you come back with that life-changing penny, remember who gave you the idea. As we near the end of this journey, remember this simple truth. Wealth doesn't always come in grand packages. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight, in something as small and overlooked as a penny. The 1962 D. Lincoln 1 cent reminds us that history, rarity, and perseverance can transform even the humblest object into a treasure beyond imagination. So look again. Search your drawers, your jars, your old coin rolls, because every day that passes is a day someone else might find their $1,000,000 penny before you do. The stories are real. The numbers are real. The opportunity is real. You just have to take the first step to believe that the change in your pocket could change your life, because in the end, it's not just about the coin. It's about the dream it represents, the chance to turn the ordinary into the extraordinary, to transform forgotten history into financial freedom, and to write your own story of discovery and wealth. So go ahead, check your pennies. The next 1962 D Mint mark treasure could be waiting for you right now, and it just might be worth $984,000. Most people have a jar of loose change sitting somewhere in their home, maybe on a kitchen counter, in an old coffee tin, or hidden deep inside a drawer. But inside that forgotten pile of pennies could lie your golden ticket, the 1975 no mint mark Lincoln cent, one of the most mysterious and valuable coins in American history. Imagine waking up tomorrow, cashing in a single penny and walking away a millionaire. It sounds like a fantasy, right? But it's not. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why collectors are paying insane prices for this coin, how to spot one, and what you can do if you think you might have it hiding somewhere in your home. So grab your coin jar, because your financial destiny might be jingling right inside it. Let's start at the beginning. Back in 1975, the U.S. Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents, the ones with Abraham Lincoln's iconic profile on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. Most of these coins were struck at either the Denver Mint, marked with a small D under the year, or the San Francisco Mint, which carried an S for proof coins. But every once in a while, something goes wrong. A missing mark, a misprint, or a rare die error. That's what happened with the 1975 no mint mark penny. No mint mark means no D for Denver, no S for San Francisco, nothing at all. It looks just like an ordinary penny, and that's what makes it so deceptive. Thousands of collectors spent decades overlooking this coin, unaware that it was anything special. But coin experts, those who know the whispers of metal and history, began to notice something odd. Some 1975 pennies without mint marks didn't behave like ordinary coins. Their metallic composition, strike quality, and even their luster suggested something unique. After years of quiet study, it became clear these weren't just production errors. These were ultra-rare survivors, coins struck under highly unusual circumstances, and they should never have existed. You might be wondering, why would a missing mint mark make a coin so valuable? Well, here's where it gets fascinating. In the world of coin collecting, rarity is king. When a minting error happens, especially one that involves missing identifiers like mint marks, the value skyrockets. It's like owning a first edition of a famous book that was printed with a mistake before anyone caught it. Only a handful exist, and collectors will pay almost anything to own one. And here's the catch. Nobody knows exactly how many of these 1975 no mint mark pennies exist. Some experts say a dozen, others think maybe a few dozen. But that uncertainty only fuels the fire. Every coin dealer, collector, and hobbyist dreams of finding one. Now imagine this. One of these coins surfaces at an auction, and after an intense bidding war, it sells for an unbelievable $978,000. That's not a typo. A penny, a 1-cent piece that once sat in someone's pocket, sold for nearly $1 million. Let that sink in for a moment. How many times have you walked past a penny on the ground and ignored it? How many times have you scooped up spare change just to dump it into a jar? You might be sitting on a fortune without even realizing it. And before you dismiss it, remember this. Life-changing discoveries like this happen all the time. A man in Pennsylvania once found a rare 1943 copper penny in his lunchroom change, worth over $200,000. Another collector discovered a misprinted dollar bill worth more than $150,000. Ordinary people, extraordinary finds. So, let's ask the question that's burning in your mind right now. How can you tell if your penny is one of these rare treasures? First, check the year. It must say 1975. Then look closely at the space just below the date. If there's no small d or s, your heart might skip a beat. But don't celebrate just yet. Most pennies from 1975 were struck in Philadelphia, which didn't use a mint mark that year for circulation coins. So what's the difference? The difference lies in the details, the texture, the shine, the precision of the strike. The genuine 1975 no mint mark penny that's worth a fortune usually exhibits an unusual sharpness in Lincoln's features, a slightly doubled or crisp edge around the date and lettering, and sometimes subtle variations in the color or weight due to the minting process. Only expert appraisal or professional grading can confirm the authenticity, but finding one is like catching lightning in a bottle. Now, before we go further, here's a quick reality check. Some people hear about these coins and go on a wild goose chase, believing every penny without a mint mark is worth millions. Spoiler alert, it's not. But here's the key. The ones that are rare, the verified authentic errors, are life-changing finds. And this is where things get emotional. Think about the timing. Inflation's rising, the economy feels uncertain, and for many, financial stability seems harder to reach than ever. But what if your path to wealth isn't through a risky stock, a crypto gamble, or a real estate flip, but something you've already owned for years? What if the key to your freedom, to paying off debt, buying your dream home, or retiring early, is sitting quietly in a forgotten coffee can of coins your grandparents left behind? Sometimes destiny hides in plain sight. Let's zoom out for a second. The 1975 no mint mark penny isn't just valuable because of its rarity. It represents something deeper, the power of attention, patience, and curiosity. Every person who ever became wealthy through rare coins started with a simple mindset, the belief that small things can hold extraordinary worth. And isn't that what life is about? Finding meaning and opportunity, where others see nothing. But here's where the story gets even more intriguing. There are rumors, whispered, among seasoned numismatists, that a handful of uncirculated 1975 no mint mark pennies are still out there, locked in old safety deposit boxes, hidden inside family collections that haven't been touched for decades. Could one of them be sitting in your possession right now? It's possible, and that's what makes this so thrilling. Every week, coin collectors are uncovering hidden gems, coins that sat unnoticed for generations. The market for rare pennies is hotter than ever, and the 1975 no mint mark penny is among the most sought after of all. As of now, verified examples are valued close to $978,000. And with demand rising, experts predict prices could exceed $1 million within the next few years. Think about that. A coin you can hold between your fingers, smaller than a thumbnail, worth more than most people's homes. But here's where you need to act fast. When the coin market heats up like this, opportunities don't last. Prices can spike overnight, and collectors with deep pockets move quickly. If you've got old coins sitting around, now is the time to check them. Not next month, not next year. The window for discovering and authenticating rare coins before the next price jump is narrowing fast. If you find one, get it appraised by a certified grading service, like PCGS or NGC, immediately. They'll confirm its authenticity, grade its condition, and preserve it for auction. And trust me, once it's verified, you won't have to look far for interested buyers. Because the 1975 no mint mark penny isn't just a coin. It's a conversation starter, a legend, a piece of American history wrapped in copper and mystery. And for you, it could be the beginning of financial freedom. Let's pause for a moment. Picture what that would mean for your life. No more worrying about bills, no more second-guessing every purchase. Maybe you could finally take that trip you've dreamed of, start that business you've been planning, or simply breathe easier, knowing your future is secure, all because of a penny. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, this can't happen to me, remember, every millionaire who found a rare coin thought the same thing before it happened. They weren't experts, they weren't professional collectors. They were ordinary people who got curious enough to look a little closer, and maybe that's the lesson here. that fortune favors the curious. So tonight, instead of scrolling through endless videos or worrying about the news, grab that jar of coins. Empty it out on your table. Sort through the pennies one by one. Look at the dates. Inspect the mint marks, because among those hundreds of dull copper, coins could be one that glows just a little differently. One that changes your life, forever. And if you do find one, that elusive 1975, no mint mark penny, remember this moment. Because that tiny circle of metal might just be your ticket to a life of freedom, comfort, and legacy. Here's the beautiful truth. Wealth doesn't always come from hard labor or luck. Sometimes it's already sitting quietly in your hands, waiting for you to notice, so go check your pennies. Because someone out there is going to find the next $1 million coin, and maybe it'll be you. Before you go, remember, every coin has a story, but only a few can rewrite yours. Don't let yours stay untold. If you enjoyed this video, take a moment to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might have a hidden fortune of their own. Because today, we're not just talking about coins. We're talking about opportunity and the courage to see value where others overlook it. The 1975 no mint mark Lincoln penny is more than a collector's dream. It's a reminder that even the smallest things, when rare enough, can be worth millions. So keep your eyes sharp, your mind open, and your coins close. Because the next time you hear the sound of change hitting the counter, it might just be the sound of your life changing forever. Let's start with a simple question. When was the last time you actually looked closely at a penny? Most of us drop them into jars, glove boxes, or couch cushions, thinking they're worthless. But what if, sitting among all that spare change, is a coin that could change your life? It all began in 1982, a year of change for the U.S. Mint. America was facing rising copper prices, and producing pennies made of pure copper was becoming too expensive. So the mint decided to switch from copper to zinc, coated with a thin layer of copper to keep appearances. That year, the Lincoln cent existed in two types, one made of mostly copper and one made of zinc. But here's where things get interesting. In all the confusion of this transition, one coin slipped through the cracks, a 1982 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. No D for Denver, no S for San Francisco, nothing. Just a clean blank space beneath the date, a simple mistake that turned an ordinary coin into a six-figure treasure. Collectors call it the 1982 no mint mark Lincoln penny, and it's one of the most sought-after era coins in U.S. history. The mystery lies not just in the missing mark, but in the timing. In 1982, both copper and zinc coins were being minted, and the Philadelphia Mint, which normally produced pennies without a mark, wasn't supposed to make that combination. Yet somehow, a few slipped out into circulation, coins that technically shouldn't exist. Think about that for a second. Millions of people spent these pennies without realizing their worth. They fell into vending machines, got dropped in parking lots, or forgotten in piggy banks. And now, decades later, a few lucky finders are uncovering them, and cashing in big. One verified sale reached an incredible $971,000. Just imagine turning over a penny you found in an old coin jar and realizing it's worth more than your house. That's not fantasy. That's history repeating itself, one coin at a time. But let's pause for a moment. You might be thinking, how do I know if I have one of these? Before you run to the nearest pawn shop, it's crucial to understand the difference between a rare 1982 no mint mark penny and a regular one. Because here's the thing. There were several variations minted that year. There are 7 known versions of the 1982 Lincoln cent, and only one is the true $1 million variety. The key difference lies in 2 details: the metal composition and the lettering on the date. The rare one is a small date penny made of pure copper with no mint mark. Here's a simple way to test if your penny is copper or zinc. Grab a kitchen scale. If it weighs around 3.1 grams, you've got copper. If it's closer to 2.5 grams, that's zinc. The rare copper version, with no mint mark, is the jackpot. Now, you might be wondering, why does the mint mark even matter? In the world of coin collecting, every mark tells a story. It reveals where the coin was made: Denver, San Francisco, or Philadelphia. Missing that mark can signal an error, and errors are gold mines in numismatics. They represent rarity, and rarity means value. But rarity isn't enough. Condition is everything. A coin that's been in circulation for years might fetch hundreds or thousands, but a mint state example, preserved perfectly as if frozen in time, is where the real fortune lies. That's why some collectors go decades searching for one pristine 1982 no-mint mark penny to complete their collections. Now, let's add a bit of suspense. There's a twist to this story that most people don't know. You see, counterfeiters have caught on. They've started altering normal pennies, removing mint marks or polishing them to mimic the rare version. It's a dangerous game because one tiny mistake can turn a hopeful discovery into a worthless fake. So before you sell or celebrate, get your coin authenticated by a professional grading service, like PCGS or NGC. These companies verify authenticity and assign a grade that determines its true market value. And let's talk about that market for a second, because this is where things get exciting. In recent years, the demand for rare coins has skyrocketed. Investors are treating coins not just as collectibles, but as assets. As the economy fluctuates, tangible items with limited supply, like rare coins, are becoming alternative investments. The 1982 no-mint mark penny has become the holy grail of modern coin collecting. Just picture this. A simple coin worth 1 cent in 1982, now commanding nearly $1 million in 2025. That's a return on investment that beats the stock market, real estate, and even gold. And it's not just about the money, it's about owning a piece of American history. But what's even more fascinating is how many of these coins could still be out there, hidden in plain sight. Every day, people are discovering old jars of coins left behind by parents or grandparents, not realizing the treasure within. If you're over 30, there's a good chance your childhood change jar holds a piece of the past that could change your future. Here's a thought. How many times have you dismissed a penny as worthless? Maybe even tossed it aside. Next time you see one from 1982, pick it up. That single moment of curiosity could lead to a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Now you might be asking, why would anyone pay nearly $1 million for a penny? It's about more than metal and mint marks. It's about scarcity, story, and prestige. Serious collectors and investors crave what others can't have. And when something as common as a penny becomes almost mythical in its rarity, it commands the price of legend. There's a psychological thrill, too. Imagine the feeling of uncovering something that most people will never even notice. That surge of discovery, that instant rush. It's the same energy that drives explorers, entrepreneurs, and dreamers. The 1982 no-mint mark penny isn't just a coin. It's a symbol of how overlooked things can hold unimaginable value. But here's where it gets urgent. Every day, more of these coins are found, sold, or lost forever. The window of opportunity is closing. Once collectors secure the remaining verified pieces, prices will skyrocket, and availability will vanish. This is the kind of opportunity that rewards action, not hesitation. So check your drawers, your car cup holders, your grandparents' old coin collections. Look for that 1982 penny without a mint mark with the small date, weighing 3.1 grams. You never know. Your next trip down memory lane could lead straight to financial freedom. Let's not forget, stories like this don't happen often. The rare combination of historical timing, minting error, and scarcity makes this penny one in billions. That's why when it hits the auction block, collectors battle fiercely for the chance to own it. And the numbers prove it. Prices have jumped from a few hundred to hundreds of thousands in just a decade. What's most incredible is how this tiny coin continues to inspire. It reminds us that opportunity doesn't always come dressed in gold or glitter. Sometimes, it's a dull copper disc in your palm that you've overlooked 100 times before. Now, imagine the transformation that could follow. You find the coin, you verify it, and suddenly your life changes. Debt disappears. Dreams once on hold become possible. The life of wealth and freedom you've always wanted. Suddenly, it's within reach. And it all started with one penny. That's the magic of stories like this. They blend history with possibility, the ordinary with the extraordinary. They remind us that fortune doesn't always favor those who chase it. It often finds those who stay curious, observant, and ready to act. So what will you do after this video ends? Will you shrug and move on? Or will you take a few minutes to check that jar of coins gathering dust in your home? Because maybe, just maybe, your future fortune is hiding inside. Remember, the rare 1982 no mint mark Lincoln penny isn't just about money. It's about awareness, about noticing what others ignore. The same mindset that finds a rare coin can also spot hidden opportunities in life and business. Wealth doesn't always start big, it starts with paying attention. And here's a little humor to break the tension. Who knew the phrase, "a penny for your thoughts" could one day mean a penny for your million? That's the kind of irony life loves to deliver when you least expect it. So as you go about your day, keep your eyes open, your mind sharp, and your curiosity alive. Because in a world where most people see pennies as worthless, you now know better. You know that history has a funny way of rewarding those who look twice. 1 cent. No mint mark. $1 million story. Don't wait for luck to find you. Go find it. Check your change. Check your past. And maybe, just maybe, discover that your path to wealth has been sitting quietly in your pocket all along. This story isn't about luck. It's about awareness and how ordinary Americans, people just like you, have turned pocket change into life-changing wealth. But before you rush to check your coin jar, you need to know why this coin is so valuable, how to spot one, and what mistakes could cost you a fortune. So stay with me until the end, because the difference between 1 cent and $1 million could be sitting right under your nose, or jingling in your cup holder. Let's rewind the clock to 1987. Ronald Reagan was president. Gas was under $1, and the Lincoln Memorial penny was the workhorse of American currency. Millions of them rolled out of the Denver Mint that year, over 4.5 billion to be exact. So how could one of them, among billions, end up being worth nearly $1 million? That's where the mystery begins. You see, the Denver Mint was known for precision, but even the best machinery can make mistakes. And when it does, collectors take notice. A few 1987 D Lincoln pennies left the mint with rare minting errors, subtle anomalies invisible to most people, but pure treasure to coin experts. Some had off-center strikes, double dies, or even wrong planche errors, meaning they were accidentally struck on a blank meant for another coin altogether. Imagine holding a penny that was supposed to be a dime. That kind of mistake turns an ordinary cent into a collector's dream. But here's the real kicker. Not every rare 1987 D penny looks unusual at first glance. Some of the most valuable ones appear completely normal to the naked eye. That's what makes this story so thrilling. And a little terrifying. Because right now, countless Americans could be spending or losing coins worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, just because they don't know what to look for. Let me ask you this. How many times have you dumped out a handful of change into a tip jar or Coinstar machine? Have you ever stopped to think that one of those coins could pay off your mortgage, fund your dream retirement, or send your kids to college debt-free? You might laugh, but people said the same thing before someone discovered a 1943 copper penny worth over $1.7 million. Sometimes the most valuable treasures don't glitter, they clink. Now, what makes the 1987 D penny so exceptional? It's a combination of rarity, condition, and human curiosity. Collectors crave coins that tell a story. Coins that survived decades without wear or that escaped the mint's scrutiny with unique flaws. The top-graded examples of the 1987 D penny, especially those with a flawless red finish, graded MS-68 or higher by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, are fetching astronomical prices. When a pristine example surfaced at auction, numismatists, the elite coin collectors, went into a frenzy. Bidding wars broke out, and what started as a modest opening offer skyrocketed into 6 figures. And then it happened. The hammer fell. A single penny, minted in Denver in 1987, sold for $966,000. Pause for a moment. Let that sink in. 1 penny, the smallest denomination in U.S. currency, worth more than most homes in America. If that doesn't make you rethink the value of what's in your pocket, nothing will. Now, before you go rummaging through your drawers or turning your house upside down, let's talk about what separates a fortune from a fake lead. The first sign of potential value is the mint mark, the small D under the year 1987, which indicates it was struck in Denver. Next, check the condition. The shinier, cleaner, and more preserved the penny, the better. Coins that have been untouched by human hands for decades, still gleaming copper red, are the ones that can command incredible sums. And here's where most people get it wrong. They assume that old automatically means valuable, but in coin collecting, rarity and condition matter far more than age. A 1900 penny might be worth a few dollars, while a 1987 penny could buy you a mansion, if it's the right one. Let me share a story that perfectly captures this. A man in Oklahoma was cleaning out his late father's workshop when he found a jar of old coins. Most were typical pocket change, but one penny stood out, bright, nearly flawless, with that distinctive D mark. He almost tossed it aside. Instead, he decided to get it appraised. Turns out that simple penny was a near-perfect mint error. When it sold, the proceeds changed his family's life forever. That's the magic and the madness of rare coins. It's not just about the money. It's about the thrill of discovery, the connection to American history, and the power to turn something ordinary into something extraordinary. But let's be honest. This story also ignites a bit of fear, doesn't it? The fear that maybe, just maybe, you've already let a fortune slip through your fingers. That you've spent a rare coin without realizing it. Because millions of rare coins circulate among us every day, passed unknowingly in gas stations, grocery stores, and coffee shops. Imagine this. You're at a diner, you pay your bill, and hand over a penny that could have been worth nearly $1 million. That single moment could be the most expensive breakfast of your life. That's why awareness matters. And urgency. Because as collectors and investors snap up these rare pennies, the available supply is shrinking fast. Every day that passes, another coin is lost to time, cleaned, damaged, or melted down. The window to profit from this hidden opportunity is closing, and those who act now stand to gain the most. If you're wondering how to start, the first step is simple. Look. Check your pocket change, coin jars, old purses, and piggy banks. You never know what treasures might be hiding there. Second, educate yourself. There are reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC that can authenticate and appraise your coins. A small fee could yield life-changing knowledge. And third, connect with other collectors and dealers. The rare coin market is booming, a mix of history, art, and investment that's attracting everyone from retirees to Wall Street investors. With inflation rising and digital currencies fluctuating, tangible assets like rare coins are becoming a trusted hedge and a symbol of prestige. It's funny, isn't it? We chase high-tech investments and digital tokens, yet the humble penny, a symbol of the past, might just be the smartest investment of the future. Now let's circle back to the emotional core of this story. This isn't just about coins. It's about the mindset of opportunity, of not dismissing what seems small or insignificant. Because sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest value. The 1987 D penny is a reminder that wealth isn't always about hustle or luck. Sometimes it's about curiosity, patience, and paying attention, and maybe that's a reflection of life itself. We overlook the little moments, the small chances, the quiet opportunities. We assume they're worthless until one of them turns out to be the thing that changes everything. Here's something else most people don't realize. Coin collecting isn't just for experts or historians. It's for anyone who values the thrill of discovery and the chance to turn knowledge into wealth. Right now, there's a community of ordinary Americans building financial freedom through this hobby. Retirees who fund their golden years with rare coin sales. Parents who pay for college by finding hidden treasures in rolls of pennies. Collectors who've built small fortunes from nothing more than curiosity and persistence. So ask yourself this. When was the last time you truly looked at a penny? Not just saw it, but looked at it. Because the next time you hold one, you might be holding a fortune. And yes, I know what you're thinking. What are the odds? Well, they're higher than you might expect. The number of known high-grade 1987 D pennies is extremely limited, but they're still out there. And the only people who find them are the ones who take the time to look. It's a bit like mining for gold, only the gold is already in circulation. Every coin you touch could be a ticket to wealth, if you know how to spot it. So here's your challenge. Tonight, grab that jar of loose change sitting on your dresser. Spread it out. Check the dates. Look for that small D under 1987. Examine the condition. And if one shines brighter than the rest, don't brush it off. Take it seriously. Because you might just be holding the next six-figure penny. And if you think that's impossible, remember this. Every record-breaking coin ever sold started as something ordinary. A coin in someone's pocket, a piece of copper that seemed worthless, until someone paid attention. Before we wrap up, let's touch on one last truth. Opportunities like this come and go, but knowledge lasts forever. The world of rare coins is filled with untold stories, hidden fortunes, and second chances. Maybe your story starts today, with a single penny. So, as you go about your day, keep your eyes open and your mind curious. Because history is literally in your hands. And who knows, and the next time someone tells you it's just a penny, you might just smile, knowing better. After all, it's not just a penny. It could be your million-dollar moment.
There's a moment in every collector's life when a simple coin, something you've held 1,000 times before, suddenly transforms into a ticket to a different life. Imagine reaching into an old jar, pulling out a worn quarter, K, and realizing it's worth more than a mansion overlooking the Pacific. Sounds impossible, right? But that's exactly what's been happening with one of the most astonishing coins in American history. The 1968 no mint mark $quarter dot, this unassuming piece of metal, once used to buy a cup of coffee or a gallon of gas, has stunned experts, collectors, and everyday people alike. Recently, one of these quarters fetched over $866,000 at auction. Yes, you heard that right, $866,000 for 25 cents. And if you've got an old box of coins lying around, one of them could be the key to your own life-changing discovery. But how did this ordinary coin become so extraordinary? To answer that, we have to step back in time to an America bursting with change 1968. The Vietnam War was raging. Martin Luther King Jr. had been assassinated, and a nation was searching for its soul. Amid all the turmoil, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia and Denver kept producing millions of quarters as usual. But something unusual happened that year. A small error, so tiny most people missed it, slipped into circulation. And that mistake would one day make history. You see, most quarters carry a mint marca, small letter, indicating where they were made. D for Denver, S for San Francisco, or no mark at all if it came from Philadelphia. But in 1968, for the first time, proof coins, special high-quality coins made for collectors, were supposed to be minted in San Francisco, each bearing the S mark. Yet, a few proof coins were struck without it. No mint mark. These coins shouldn't exist, but they do. And they've become some of the rarest modern coins ever found. Picture this. You're at a yard sale, buying an old coin collection for a few dollars, not knowing that hidden among the common ones is a 1968 no mint mark quarter worth nearly $1 million. Sounds like a dream, doesn't it? But it's happened before. And it could happen again. What makes this particular coin so valuable isn't just the missing mint mark. It's the story behind it. Every collector knows that rarity drives value. The fewer there are, the higher the price climbs. Experts estimate that only a handful of these 1968 no mint mark quarters exist, each verified and authenticated by the professional coin grading service. And each time one surfaces, it sends shockwaves through the numismatic world. But here's where things get interesting. Even though this coin looks like a regular quarter, Its value doesn't just rest on scarcity, it's also about condition. Most quarters from the 1960s are worn, scratched, or tarnished. But if yours has sharp edges, a mirror-like finish, and minimal wear, you could be sitting on a fortune. The most recent sale of $866,000 was for a near-perfect specimen. One so flawless, it looked untouched by time. Now, you might be thinking, all right, but what are the chances I actually have one of these? Well, here's the twist. More people have stumbled upon valuable coins by accident than by design. Maybe you inherited your grandfather's collection. Maybe there's a jar of change sitting in your closet. Or maybe you've been ignoring that dusty coin album in the attic. What if that quarter you thought was worthless is the one everyone's looking for? And before you shrug it off, let's be real, how many times have we all said, "If only I'd known"? The truth is, opportunity doesn't knock, it jingles. It hides in drawers, pockets, and coffee cans, waiting for someone curious enough to look closer. This story isn't just about coins. It's about awareness, about seizing the small moments that can change your life forever. Of course, not every 1968 quarter will make you rich. But here's where the excitement really builds. There are telltale signs to look for, the subtle clues that separate an ordinary coin from a rare treasure. First, examine the mint mark area. If it's missing entirely and the coin appears to be proof quality, you've got something special. Next, look at the surface. Proof coins have a deep mirror shine with frosted design details. If your coin has that distinct contrast, your heart might start racing down now. Before you grab a magnifying glass, let's clear one thing up: there are counterfeit coins out there. The moment a coin like this hits the news, forgers rush in. That's why authentication is everything. Reputable grading companies like PCGs or NGC can confirm if your coin is genuine. And if it is, congratulations, you've joined a very exclusive club. Still, you might wonder, why would anyone pay nearly $1 million for a coin? That's the magic of collecting. For some, it's nostalgia. For others, it's investment. But for the most passionate collectors, it's about owning a piece of history that shouldn't exist. It's like finding a first edition novel with a printing error. Except this error is made of silver and could fund your retirement. The coin market today is hotter than ever. With economic uncertainty and people searching for tangible assets, rare coins have become a safe haven for wealth. While stocks rise and fall, a one-of-a-kind coin keeps its charm and often gains value over time. That's why collectors and investors alike are scouring estate sales, auctions, and online marketplaces, hunting for hidden gems like the 1968 no mint mark quarter. Now, let's pause for a second. Imagine waking up tomorrow, checking your coin, and realizing it's one of these elusive treasures. What would you do? Sell it immediately. Keep it as a legacy. Or maybe use it to buy that dream home or take that world tour you've always wanted. It's a thrilling thought, isn't it? But it's also a reminder: fortune favors the prepared eye. There's a certain thrill in knowing that. Life-changing opportunities often come disguised as ordinary moments. The 1968 no mint mark quarter is proof of that literally and figuratively. It whispers to anyone willing to listen. Look closer. Don't underestimate the small things. But let's talk about timing. Because in collecting, timing is everything. The current market for rare U.S. coins has seen record-breaking highs. Just last year, multiple six-figure coins shattered previous auction records. Collectors from across the world are willing to pay extraordinary sums for coins that tell a story, especially one born from error and mystery. And experts predict that as awareness grows, so will demand. So, if you've got a 1968 quarter sitting around, this isn't the time to hesitate. This is the time to act. Get it appraised, get it graded, and find out what you truly have. Because once the spotlight hits this coin again, it will. The window of opportunity could close just as quickly as it opened. Think of it like this. In 1968, a quarter could buy a gallon of gas. Today, that same quarter could buy an entire gas station. If that doesn't make you want to check your pockets, nothing will. And while that may sound humorous, it's also a sobering reminder that knowledge can turn the simplest things into wealth. But what if I told you the 1968 no mint mark quarter isn't alone? There are other coins just as rare, just as valuable hiding in plain sight. The 1970s quarter with the micro error, the 1999 Georgia quarter with a mule reverse, the 1943 copper penny. Each of these coins has its own story of rarity, error, and astronomical value. And each story carries the same lesson: extraordinary. Wealth hides in the ordinary. So here's the challenge. The next time you handle loose change, pause. Look closely. Feel the weight of it. Because somewhere out there, someone will find another 1968 no mint mark quarter. Someone will go from pocket change to prosperity. The only question is, will it be you? The world of coin collecting isn't just about money. It's about legacy. These coins connect generations. They hold the fingerprints of history of the people who spent them, saved them, and now those who seek them. Owning a coin like this is like owning a time capsule. One that bridges the past with the promise of an incredible future. And here's the secret: most collectors won't tell you every great discovery starts with curiosity. The ones who strike gold, metaphorically and literally, are those who dare to ask, what if? What if this coin is different? What if this one's special? That simple question can lead to life-changing answers as you think about your own collection. Or the one you might start to remember that each coin is a story waiting to be uncovered. The 1968 no mint mark quarter just happens to be one of the most thrilling stories of all. From a minting mistake to a multi-million-dollar marvel, it's a testament to how small details can have monumental consequences. So don't let your story end with "I could have checked." Because while some see coins as just currency, others see them as keys to wealth, to history, to a future that's brighter than you ever imagined. As we close, remember this: somewhere in America, a dusty old quarter is waiting to change someone's life. Maybe it's in your home, Maybe it's in your wallet, or maybe it's still out there, passing from hand to hand, quietly holding its secret. The next time you feel the cool weight of a coin in your palm, ask yourself, could this be the one? Because the people who take that question seriously, they're the ones who wake up one morning, look at an ordinary coin, and realize they're holding a fortune. So go ahead, check your change. Your wealthy lifestyle might just be hiding in plain sight, 1/4 at a time. Imagine reaching into your old change jar and pulling out a coin that could change your entire life. Not a gold bar, not a diamond, just a humble 1983 quarter. What if I told you that a single 1983p mint mark $1/4 recently sold for over $861,000? That's right, a simple piece of change worth nearly $1 million. How many times have you held something like that and let it slip away without realizing its true value? This story isn't about luck. It's about awareness. It's about hidden wealth lying in plain sight, the kind most people never notice. And today, we're going to uncover why one particular 1983 quarter has captured the attention of collectors, how it reached such staggering value, and how you can find out if one of these treasures might already be in your possession. But before we dive in, let's start with a thought. When was the last time you actually looked closely at your coins? I mean, really looked, not just tossed them in a drawer or used them for coffee change. Most people haven't. And that's why stories like this still shock the world. The year was 1983. Ronald Reagan was president. MTV was in its prime. The economy was rebounding. A coup and the U.S. Mint was busy striking millions of coins in Philadelphia. Coins just like the one we're talking about. But something extraordinary happened during that year's minting process. Somewhere along the line, a few quarters came out with unusual characteristics. Slight errors. Subtle differences invisible to the casual eye. And one of those coins would one day become the stuff of legend. Now, before you start rummaging through your drawers, let's talk about what makes this quarter so special. You see, 1983 quarters are unique because they were struck during a year when the mint did not issue uncirculated mint sets. That means collectors didn't get pristine examples directly from the mint. Every 1983 quarter you see today came from circulation. Most have scratches, wear, and grime from decades of use. But a few escaped that fate, preserved by chance, untouched, flawless, and shining just as they did the day they left the minting press. Here's where the story takes a twist. Among these rare survivors, one coin, a 1983 quarter with the P Mint mark from Philadelphia, emerged as an absolute marvel. Its strike quality was perfect, its surfaces flawless, and its details sharp enough to make even veteran collectors pause in awe. When it hit the auction block, the bidding war erupted instantly. What started as curiosity turned into chaos. And when the final hammer dropped, the number shocked everyone. $861,000 for a single $1/4 coin. Now, pause for a second. Let that sink in. $861,000. That's more than the average cost of a home in America today. For a 25-cent coin, you might be asking yourself, how could that possibly happen? How does something so ordinary become so extraordinary? The answer lies in a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and collector demand. You see, coin collectors, or numismatists, value coins based on their minting errors, metal content, and preservation. The 1983p quarter combines all three in an irresistible way. Because no mint sets were made that year, perfect condition examples are nearly impossible to find. Combine that with the Philadelphia Mint's production quirks and a few double-die errors, and you have the makings of a true modern legend. But let's be real for a second. You might be thinking, okay, that's great for the lucky person who found it, but what about me? Well, here's where things get exciting. You could very well own one of these without knowing it. That's right. There are still a handful of these 1983 quarters out there in circulation, or tucked away in private collections. Every time someone sorts through old coins, there's a small chance they might stumble upon one worth more than a luxury car. Before you rush to your coin jar, there are a few things to look for. First, check for the mint mark P right next to Washington's ponytail on the obverse. That's the mark of the Philadelphia Mint. Next, look for sharpness in detail, clean edges, strong lettering, no signs of heavy wear. Under good lighting, inspect for doubling in the inscriptions, "In God We Trust" or "Liberty." These double-die variations are key indicators of value. And finally, if the coin appears unusually thick, light, or struck slightly off-center, it could be an era coin, and those fetch even higher prices. Let's inject a little humor here. Imagine explaining to your spouse that the quarter you almost used for a parking meter, K, is now funding your dream vacation to Hawaii. That's the kind of story we're dealing with here. But let's dig deeper. Why 1983 specifically? Why not 1982 or 1984? The answer traces back to a decision by the U.S. Mint. In 1982 and 1983, due to budget constraints and economic concerns, the Mint stopped producing uncirculated sets for collectors. That means high-quality versions of those years' coins became exceptionally scarce. And scarcity, my friend, is the foundation of value. Combine that scarcity with the mysterious minting anomalies of 1983, and you get a coin that's not just rare, it's practically mythical. Now, here's the emotional part. Every day, people unknowingly handle coins that could change their lives. They spend them, lose them, or toss them aside without realizing what they're worth. Imagine finding out years later that you had a small fortune in your hands and didn't know it. That's the fear of missed opportunity, and it's very real. But on the flip side, imagine the excitement, the rush, of discovering that your loose change isn't just change, it's a treasure. That's the thrill collector's chase. And it's a thrill you can experience too. So, what's the current market telling us about the 1983p quarter? Demand is surging. Coin collectors are on the hunt, paying record prices for pristine examples. Lower-grade coins can fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars. while top-graded, mint-condition specimens continue to rise. The coin market, much like real estate or art, follows waves of enthusiasm, and right now, we're seeing a major wave for early 1980s U.S. coinage. This isn't just nostalgia, it's investment potential. Let's be honest, most of us dream about finding hidden wealth. But too often, we overlook the simple things right in front of us. This quarter is proof that opportunity doesn't always come wrapped in luxury or gold. Sometimes it jingles in your pocket. Now, let's connect the dots to your own life. If you've got old coins stored away, maybe in a shoebox, maybe in an old coffee can, you could be sitting on untapped wealth. And this isn't just about one coin. The 1983 P quarter is a symbol. It's a reminder that history has value and that your attention can literally turn pennies into fortunes. The next time you handle change, don't just see coins, see possibilities. Here's another moment to pause and reset. Let's imagine something funny. You walk into a coin shop with a few old quarters, expecting maybe a few bucks, and the expert's jaw drops. He leans in, polishes his glasses, and says, "Do you have any idea what this is worth?" That's not fantasy. It's happened. And it could happen again. If you're wondering how to sell such a coin, the key is authentication. Professional grading services like PCGs or NGCs specialize in evaluating and certifying coins. Their seal of authenticity is the golden ticket to top-tier buyers. Once authenticated, your coin could go to auction heritage auctions, Stacks, Bowers, or even private collectors ready to pay a premium. And trust me, when rarity meets validation, the bids climb fast. Here's a truth most people miss. Coin collecting isn't just a hobby anymore. It's a market, a serious one. High net worth individuals, investors, and collectors see rare coins as tangible assets, a hedge against inflation and economic uncertainty. Think of it this way. While the dollar's value fluctuates, the story behind a rare coin only grows richer over time. Let's add a bit of urgency here, because the window to act is closing. As more collectors learn about the 1983 quarter's potential, fewer ungraded coins remain in the wild. Once they're found, authenticated, and locked in private collections, opportunities like this vanish. You don't want to be the person saying, "I used to have one of those." So, here's your call to action. Take out your coins. Inspect your quarters. Especially from 1982 and 1983, look for the Philadelphia Mint mark. Pay attention to details, to condition, to small differences. And if something looks unusual, don't dismiss it. Get it checked. Because the difference between ordinary and extraordinary could be just one careful glance. Let's wrap this story with a vision. Imagine you discover a coin like this and you sell it for hundreds of thousands. What would you do? Pay off your mortgage? Start a business? Travel the world? Help your family? This isn't just about money. It's about transformation. A small discovery that can rewrite your financial story and open doors you never thought possible. And yet, beyond all the excitement and numbers, there's something deeper here, a sense of wonder. The idea that hidden within the mundane lies the miraculous, that a 25-cent coin could carry the power to change lives. That's not just a collector's dream. It's a testament to the value of awareness, patience, and curiosity. So, as you go about your day, remember this: fortune doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers from the most ordinary places. And if you're wise enough to listen, that whisper could turn into a roar of opportunity now. The real question is, will you check your change today? Or will you let another small miracle slip through your fingers? It all begins in the heart of the 1980s. A decade of neon dreams, booming markets, and technological leaps. Amidst all that, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia was producing hundreds of millions of quarters. Most were ordinary, mass-produced, everyday coins meant for vending machines and grocery stores. Yet, among them, a few rare anomalies were born coins that defied their purpose. These were minting errors, struck with precision mishaps so unique that collectors today pay astronomical prices for them. Now, before you run to your coin collection, take a moment to ask yourself, how many times have you looked at a coin and really seen it? We handle money every day, yet we rarely pay attention to the tiny details stamped into history. The mint mark, the year, the texture of the rim. These are clues to hidden fortunes. And that's exactly where the 1986 P-quarter story begins. The Philadelphia Mint had produced over 550 million quarters that year. But a handful came out slightly off, some with double strikes, others with off-center images, and a few with metal composition errors. These rare variations are what makes certain coins from that year worth thousands, even hundreds of thousands. And in one extraordinary case, a pristine, nearly perfect 1986 P-quarter, graded by professional coin evaluators as mint state, sold for an astonishing $855,000 at auction. Why? Because perfection and rarity in the same breath create magic in the coin world. Here's where it gets fascinating. The value of a coin isn't just about age, it's about scarcity, condition, and story. And the 1986 P-quarter has all three. Imagine holding a piece of history that not only survived decades but emerged as one of the most flawless examples of minting precision from its era. That's not just a coin, that's a time capsule. A conversation between the past and present, whispering secrets of craftsmanship and chance. But let's be real. Most people won't find an $855,000 coin lying in their glove box. So why should you care? Because hidden treasures like this are still out there. And the people who find them aren't experts or millionaires. They're everyday Americans who took the time to look closer. The coin you dismiss today could fund your dream tomorrow. That's not just a metaphor. It's a fact proven time and time again in the coin. CollectorsWorld.now. Here's a question to jolt your curiosity. When was the last time you checked your change? Go ahead, think about it. The average American household has about $68 in loose change lying around. Somewhere in that mix, there could be coins worth more than your car. Doesn't that make you want to start digging through the couch cushions? Let's take a moment to understand what makes a coin like the 1986p quarter so valuable. Collectors look for four main factors: rarity, demand, condition, and historical significance. The 1986p hits all four. Its rarity comes from minting errors and limited pristine specimens. Its demand stems from the increasing fascination with 20th century U.S. coinage. Its condition, when graded MS67 or higher, makes it a visual masterpiece. And its historical significance ties back to an era when the mint was transitioning in technology, creating a perfect storm for rare variations. But there's another layer motion. People don't just collect coins for profit. They collect them for connection. Each coin carries a story of where it's been, what it's seen, and the hands it has passed through. That emotional pull adds value beyond metal or market price. And when nostalgia meets scarcity, prices soar. Still, many people hesitate. Why would anyone pay that much for a quarter? They ask. But think of art collectors paying millions for a canvas with paint. Think of classic car enthusiasts spending fortunes on restored vehicles. It's the same principle. The difference? You might already own the art, hiding in plain sight in your old coin box. Now, let's address a little fear. What if you already had a valuable coin and you spent it years ago without knowing? That pang you just felt. That's the realization millions have experienced when they learn how much old coins can be worth. But here's the good news: it's not too late. New discoveries happen every year. People walk into coin shops or post photos online and suddenly realize they've been holding something extraordinary for decades. The market for rare U.S. coins is hotter than ever, with record-breaking auctions and private buyers competing to own a piece of numismatic history. And here's something to keep in mind: the 1986p quarter's rise to fame didn't happen overnight. For years, collectors overlooked it, considering it too new to be significant. But as grading technology improved and the coin's pristine examples became harder to find, its value skyrocketed. That means the next hidden gem could be sitting unnoticed right now. Maybe it's in your possession. Maybe it's the coin you received as change this morning. Ever think about how strange it is that a small piece of metal can hold so much power? A single coin can open doors to financial freedom, fund college tuition, or serve as a legacy piece for your family. One discovery could change not just your finances, but your mindset about value, luck, and attention to detail. So, how do you find out if your coins are valuable? Start by gathering every quarter you can find, especially those from the 1970s through the 1990s. Examine them under good light. Look for the mint mark P near Washington's ponytail, and inspect for unusual features, south center strikes, doubled lettering, or unusually sharp details. Then, research recent auction results or get your coin appraised by a certified professional. Don't rely on guesswork. Rely on verification. Some of the biggest finds came from people who took that small extra step. Here's a fun thought. Imagine you're sifting through your change one night and something catches your eye, glint, a texture, a difference. You look closer, realize it's a 1986p quarter, and notice its condition seems exceptional. You send it for grading, and weeks later, you get the call. Congratulations! You're sitting on a coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Your heart races, your hands shake, and for a moment, everything feels surreal. That's the kind of excitement that drives collectors and dreamers alike. You might be wondering, why are coins like this suddenly exploding in value? Simple economics. As time passes, fewer high-grade examples exist, and demand increases. Combine that with a surge of online platforms where collectors compete for ownership, and you have a perfect storm of rising prices. It's supply and demand, wrapped in nostalgia and fueled by the thrill of discovery. And speaking of discovery, here's the twist that keeps collectors awake at night. There are still undocumented variants out there. Some coins were minted with microscopic differences yet to be cataloged. You could be the first to uncover one. Imagine being credited for discovering a new variety, forever linking your name to numismatic history. That's not just valuable, that's legacy. But let's not sugarcoat it. Coin collecting also requires patience and discernment. Not every old coin is worth a fortune. That's where education becomes your greatest asset. The more you learn, the better your chances of identifying value when others overlook it. Knowledge turns chance into opportunity. And speaking of opportunity, let's talk about timing. Right now, the market for rare coins is booming. Inflation, uncertainty, and the search for tangible assets have pushed more investors toward collectibles. The 1986 P-Quarters record price is proof of a broader trend. If you've ever thought about selling your coins, this might be your moment. The window of opportunity doesn't stay open forever. Picture this. You walk into a coin appraisal event, skeptical but curious. You show the expert your 1986 P-Quarter. They examine it, nod slowly, and smile. You might want to sit down, they say. That's not just a fantasy. It's a possibility. And possibilities are what make stories like this worth telling. As you reflect on this, remember that the true value of the 1986 P mint mark quarter isn't just in its price tag. It's in the inspiration it gives us. It reminds us to look closer at what we take for granted, to search for opportunity in the ordinary, to believe that even the smallest, most overlooked things can hold unimaginable worth. So, before you spend that next quarter, pause. Look at it. Study the year, the mark, the detail, because who knows? You might be holding your ticket to financial freedom. And even if you don't find the $855,000 coin, you'll have gained something even more valuable. Mindset tuned to recognize hidden potential in everything around you. At the end of the day, wealth isn't just about money. It's about awareness. The awareness that opportunity often disguises itself as something mundane. The awareness that luck favors those who pay attention. And the awareness that your story could change in a single serendipitous moment. So go ahead, hold that old drawer, dust off that coin jar, and start your search. Because as history has shown, sometimes the path to fortune begins with a single, ordinary coin that turns out to be anything. Imagine checking the loose change in your kitchen drawer or that old coffee can in your garage, only to find a coin that could change your financial destiny. Sounds unbelievable. Well, by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why these quarters are so valuable, how to identify one, and how you might be sitting on a fortune without even realizing it. Before you brush this off thinking, "I probably don't have one," ask yourself, when was the last time you actually looked closely at your coins? Most people don't, and that's exactly why so many treasures go unnoticed. The people who've cashed in on these rare quarters weren't necessarily collectors. They were ordinary folks who decided to look a little closer. That's the difference between someone who dreams of wealth and someone who discovers it in their own hands. The story of the 1988 D quarter is more than about metal and mint marks. It's a story about rarity, timing, and the incredible power of knowledge. You see, in the late 1980s, the Denver Mint produced millions of quarters. But due to small minting variations, microscopic imperfections invisible to the untrained eye, a few of these coins were struck differently. A subtle shift in the die alignment, a faint doubling on the inscriptions, or a unique blend of metal content transformed a handful of these everyday coins into priceless artifacts. Most quarters from that year are worth, well, 25 cents. But a few, because of these tiny anomalies, have become legendary among collectors. Their scarcity has turned them into status symbols in the numismatic world, symbols of luck, rarity, and mystery now. You might be wondering, how can a coin I've probably seen thousands of times be worth nearly $1 million? The secret lies in a combination of factors: condition, mint error, and demand. The $848,000 quarter wasn't just any 1988 D, it was in pristine, almost untouched condition, what experts call mint state. On top of that, it displayed a rare minting error, a misalignment and doubling that only occurs once in millions of strikes. When collectors and investors caught wind of it, the bidding wars began. It's easy to dismiss coins as small change. But think of this. If a 25-cent coin can command $848,000, what does that say about the overlooked opportunities in your life? Sometimes, the smallest things hold the greatest value if you know where to look. And here's where it gets exciting. You could find one. Yes, you. These rare 1988 D quarters are still circulating, sitting in forgotten jars, old wallets, or tucked away in safety boxes passed down from parents and grandparents. People have found them in pocket change, thrift stores, even in parking meters. The next person could be you, but only if you know what to look for. Let's dive into the details that separate an ordinary quarter from a fortune-bearing one. Start by checking the mint mark under George Washington's neck. The D indicates it was minted in Denver. Next, look closely at the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Under magnification, if you notice a faint doubling of the letters, that's a good sign. Also, check the date 1988. Any sign of doubling or misalignment could be a clue that you're holding something exceptional. Then comes the condition. Coins are graded from poor to mint state 70. The higher the grade, the higher the value. Even a slightly worn 1988D with a rare minting error could fetch thousands. But a pristine one, preserved almost perfectly, that's where you enter the elite level, the six-figure territory. Now, before you start rummaging through your change jar, let's pause for a second. Isn't it fascinating how something as small as a coin can carry such massive potential? It's almost poetic, the idea that hidden wealth could be sitting quietly, waiting for someone perceptive enough to notice. It's not just about money. It's about mindset. The rare coin market rewards curiosity, attention to detail, and patience, qualities that often lead to wealth in every area of life. And here's a twist, a pattern interrupt, if you will. Imagine explaining to your friends that your early retirement came from a quarter. They'd probably laugh, right? But when that $848,000 hits your bank account, the laughter turns into stunned silence. That's the beauty of hidden value. It's invisible to those who don't believe it exists. Let's talk about market dynamics. The value of rare coins fluctuates like fine art or vintage cars. As demand for rare U.S. coins grows among high-net-worth collectors and investors, prices climb. In the last few years, rare coin auctions have shattered records. The pandemic, global inflation, and rising interest in tangible assets have pushed investors toward collectibles, coins being one of the most stable, historically appreciating categories. According to recent market data, rare U.S. quarters from the 20th century have seen price increases of over 400% in the last decade. The 1988 D Mint Mark quarter sits at the top of that pyramid, with values reported at over $848,000 in top condition. But it's not just about that single coin. It's a signal, a wake-up call, that your small change might not be small at all. So, how do you turn this knowledge into opportunity? The first step, educate yourself. Learn how to recognize mint marks, errors, and grades. The second step, take action. Go through your old coins. Visit coin dealers, attend auctions, or even join online numismatic communities. The third step, get your coin appraised by a professional. Grading service like PCGs or NGC, an official grade can mean the difference between a $50 find and a $500,000 windfall. And if you're thinking, this sounds too good to be true, remember this: the people who discovered these valuable coins thought the same thing. One woman from Texas almost spent her rare 1988D quarter on a parking meter before realizing the faint doubling on the date. That single coin later sold for over $300,000. She went from feeding a meter to feeding her dreams. That's the power of awareness. Here's the irony. Every day, millions of these coins pass from hand to hand, buying coffees, groceries, and gas, while one rare specimen sits hidden among them, capable of changing someone's life forever. It's like a modern treasure hunt where the prize isn't buried in the ground, but scattered in plain sight. If you think this is only for coin nerds or collectors, think again. Many of today's wealthy collectors started by accident, They stumbled upon one rare coin and never looked back. What started as curiosity became a profitable passion. And that's what this is really about. Transforming curiosity into opportunity. You don't have to be rich to find rare coins, but you can become rich because of them. That's the beauty of this world. The rare coin market isn't driven by chance. It's driven by knowledge and timing. The more you learn, the more prepared you are when opportunity lands in your hands, literally, now. Here's a question to reset your attention. When was the last time you held a coin and really looked at it? Most people handle money every day, but never truly see it. That's what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary, the ability to look deeper, to notice what others ignore. If you can develop that habit, you'll start spotting hidden value, not just in coins, but everywhere in your life. Here's something most people don't realize. Coins are historical artifacts. Every mark, every strike, every minting variation tells a story of craftsmanship, economy, and human error. The 1988 D-quarter story is one of perfection born from imperfection. A tiny minting flaw turned an everyday object into a masterpiece. There's a metaphor there for life itself. Sometimes it's the flaws that make something truly valuable, but let's not lose sight of the tangible. The current market valuation for the most pristine 1988 D-quarter stands at $848,000. Experts predict this could climb even higher as more collectors enter the market and fewer pristine examples remain in circulation. Rarity, after all, increases value over time. So, while you're watching this, someone out there could be discovering another one right now, maybe cashing it in at an auction that will break new records. And here's the emotional truth. Every coin tells us that wealth doesn't always come from hard labor alone. Sometimes it comes from awareness, curiosity, and the courage to act when others don't. That's why stories like the 1988 D-quarter resonate so deeply. They remind us that fortune can favor the observant now. Picture this. You're holding a coin worn slightly around the edges. The year 1988, glinting under the light. You tilt it, and your eyes catch the subtle doubling of the 8. Your pulse quickens. Could it be? That moment, that realization, is pure adrenaline. It's the thrill of discovery, the rush of possibility. And whether or not that coin turns out to be worth a fortune, you'll never look at spare change the same way again. So, before you go about your day, take a moment. Open that old drawer. Check that jar of coins. Because somewhere out there, a 1988 D mint mark quarter worth hundreds of thousands, maybe even $848,000, is waiting to be found. And the next headline-breaking discovery could have your name on it. The real question isn't whether these coins exist. They do. The question is whether you'll be the one who finds one. The difference between missed opportunity and life-changing wealth could be just one look away. So take this as your sign. Your reminder that fortune favors the curious. Because sometimes, the path to a wealthy lifestyle doesn't start with a $1 million business idea or a risky investment. Sometimes It starts with a quarter. This isn't some internet rumor or a collector's myth. This is a real story about how a coin minted just a few years ago turned into one of the most valuable modern U.S. coins ever discovered. And by the end of this video, you'll not only understand why it's worth that much, but also how you might already own one yourself. Let's start at the beginning, where most treasure hunts begin with something ordinary. In 2021, the U.S. Mint released a new series of quarters ordering the Crossing the Delaware design, featuring George Washington on one side and a dramatic depiction of him crossing the Delaware River on the other. Millions were minted, circulated across the country, and most people didn't think twice. It was just another quarter. But not all coins are created equal. Some of these 2021 P-Mint mark quarters, those produced at the Philadelphia Mint, had subtle minting errors. Maybe a double die, a strike-through, a die crack, or even a rare off-center strike. These imperfections, invisible to the untrained eye, became golden tickets for collectors. Imagine holding a coin worth more than your car and not even realizing it. Here's where it gets fascinating. When the first 2021 P-era quarter surfaced, few sharp-eyed collectors noticed something strange. Under magnification, the fine details on Washington's hair and the "In God We Trust" inscription appeared doubled. The rim showed unusual stress marks. At first, nobody believed it mattered. But as more examples emerged, coin grading services like PCGS and NGC confirmed the discovery. That's when the market went wild. Collectors began scouring their spare change. Coin rolls from banks, even vending machine returns, looking for that elusive quarter. The story spread through collector forums, TikTok videos, and news headlines. Modern quarter worth 6 figures found in circulation. And then it happened. One of these coins sold for over $300,000 at auction.y. Because rarity, condition, and demand collided at the perfect moment. The coin wasn't just rare, was pristine. It had been professionally graded at a high mint state level, meaning it was nearly flawless, with its unique minting error perfectly preserved. For collectors, that combination is like lightning in a bottle. You might get one chance in a lifetime to find something like that, but here's the emotional truth. Behind the story, most people who handle rare coins never realize what they have. They spend them. They give them as change at gas stations. They disappear back into circulation. Their true worth lost forever. That's why you need to know what to look for before we reveal exactly what makes this coin worth $314,000. How to check if you own one. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you really looked at your coins? Not just glanced, but examined them. Most people haven't, and that's where opportunity hides in what others overlook. The P mint mark sits just below "In God We Trust," near the right side of Washington's bust. That tiny letter tells you it was minted in Philadelphia. Now, look closer at the details. The surface, the texture, the shine. Any doubling, any small die crack across Washington's hair, or the word "Liberty." could be the difference between 25 cents and a small fortune. It's easy to laugh and say, "Come on, who really finds those?" But here's the funny thing someone does. Every single year, one man from Ohio reportedly found a rare quarter while sorting through loose change in his car's co-folder. Another woman discovered a valuable error coin in a Coinstar machine after someone dumped it by mistake. It's not luck, it's awareness, and that's why this isn't just about coins. It's about perspective. It's about paying attention to the small things that everyone else ignores. Because sometimes, those small things can change your life. Think about it. What would you do if you found a coin worth 6 figures? Would you sell it immediately or hold on to it, watching its value climb as demand surges? That's another layer to this story. The coin market has exploded in recent years, driven by both serious collectors and everyday investors looking for tangible assets. When traditional markets feel uncertain, people look for hard-value gold, silver, rare collectibles. Coins fit that need perfectly. They're compact, historical, and often carry emotional meaning. But not all coins appreciate equally. Modern rarities like the 2021 P quarter are shaking up the old rules. In the past, you'd expect only centuries-old coins to fetch big prices. Today, even recent mintings are turning into instant treasures. Let's pause here for a quick mental reset. Imagine this. You're at a coffee shop. You hand over $1, get 3 quarters and some change back. One of those quarters looks shiny, maybe newer. You pocket it without a thought. Weeks later, you see a video like this. Ooh, and realize you might have spent $300,000 on a latte. That's not just a joke. That's reality for some people. Now, let's pull back the curtain on what makes this specific coin so special. The 2021 P. Crossing the Delaware quarter became a sensation not only for its errors, but for its perfect storm of timing. The U.S. Mint had just ended the long-running America, the Beautiful series. This was a transitional design, minted for only 1 year before the Washington Crossing Reverse was replaced by the 2022 American Women Quarters program. That brief window makes it inherently limited. Combine that with minting variations and modern collector frenzy, and you've got the recipe for astronomical value. But here's the catch. Condition is everything. A worn or scratched version might still be worth a few $100s. But a pristine, uncirculated, or mint state coin graded above MS-67, that's where the value skyrockets into the hundreds of thousands. That's why collectors send their best finds to professional graders who seal them in tamper-proof slabs and assign them official certification numbers. So yes, even though millions of 2021 quarters exist, only a microscopic fraction are perfect enough for rare enough to be worth life-changing money. Let's talk numbers for a moment. As of today, verified auction results have seen the highest-selling example of this coin reach over $314,000. Others, in slightly lower grades, still command thousands. The market remains hot because collectors are still hunting for the few, undiscovered specimens. If you're wondering whether your coin might be valuable, here's what to do. First, check for the P mint mark. Then, under good light or with a magnifying glass, look for doubling on Washington's profile, especially around the nose, mouth, and lettering. Check for any unusual texture, cracks, or off-center designs. If you find something suspicious, don't clean the coin ever. Cleaning it can destroy thousands of dollars in potential value. Instead, handle it by the edges and store it safely in a protective holder. Then, consider sending it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication. You might be thinking, it's probably nothing. Remember, every great discovery starts with someone who thought the same, and here's where this story takes a powerful turn. Those who've profited from rare coin discoveries often share something deeper in common than luck. They pay attention. They respect history. They understand that value isn't always about what's new, it's about what's meaningful. Think of every coin as a tiny time capsule, carrying the story of when and where it was minted. Each imperfection adds a layer of individuality. In a world obsessed with digital currency and disposable moments, these coins remind us that physical treasures still exist and sometimes they're closer than you think. If that doesn't inspire you to start checking your coins tonight, I don't know what will. Because here's the truth most people ignore. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is often just awareness. The people living wealthy, fulfilled lives aren't necessarily luckier, they're more observant. They take action when opportunity whispers, not just when it shouts. So, let this coin be your wake-up call. Somewhere out there, someone is about to discover the next record-breaking quarter. It could be the 2021p, or it could be another overlooked coin hiding in plain sight. What if that someone is you? Maybe you've got an old jar of change in your kitchen drawer or a dusty box of coins inherited from a relative. Inside, there might be not just money, but freedom. Because when a single quarter can be worth $300,000, it's not just about collecting, it's about possibility as we come full circle. Remember this, wealth isn't only found in banks or investment accounts. Sometimes it's sitting right under your nose, waiting for you to notice. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or count the change from your morning coffee, take a moment to look closer. That glimmer, that detail, that tiny P mint mark kit might just be your golden ticket. And who knows? The next story about a rare coin selling for millions could start with your discovery. Stay curious. Stay alert. And remember, even in a world where everything moves fast, true fortune favors those who take the time to look closely. Because sometimes, the path to a wealthy life begins with a single quarter.